Did you guys know that Josephine Baker was the richest black woman in the world? Fun facts. Did you guys know that North America used to be called Turtle Island?
You want to hear a story? Guess what? I read a story. I know a story. I got a story for you. So here we go. The monkey ball. Without the night was. Hey, what up, Vibe Tribe? Welcome back. I'm your girl, Lovely Vibes, and thank you guys for tuning into my channel. If you haven't yet subscribed, go ahead, hit that notification bell and that subscribe button. If you haven't yet subscribed, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. What are you waiting for? Stay tuned. See what we got in store. Stick around, you know? Go ahead and hit the notification bell as well. That way you'll know each and every time I post. And let's go ahead and get it going in the comment section. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. You know what I'm saying? Let's talk about it in the comment section. Let's keep it real, and let's keep it real respectful in the comment section. And go ahead and don't forget to hit that like button, okay? So hit that thumbs up button. And if you are a returning subscriber, thank you guys. I really appreciate it. Thank you for tuning in and rocking with me. I really appreciate you guys. Like I said, I got my followers, so stay tuned, and I got something for my followers, okay? So you know what I do every week? I read a story, and then I bring it to you guys, and I interpret that story. Then we hop in the comment section, and we talk about it, and what we got out of the whole thing, the whole ordeal. What did we learn? What we would have done? Whatever. So stay tuned, you guys. Let's get into this story here called The Enchanted Type, that is by Lyman Frank Baum, published back in 1901. All right, The Enchanted Type. Let's go. All right, so this story is about, a Nook. He's tired of his everyday life. All right, so Nooks are very, very, they're mortal, and they are one of the most powerful mortals besides fairies and rails, right? So this is Nooks are powerful. They basically can wish things and make it come true. So anyway, in this story, the particular Nook, he's tired of life, basically, where he's just tired of his everyday norm, and it's like as tired as we would be, the book explains, as tired as we would be of wishing for stuff and then not happening. Like, he can wish for whatever he want and it would happen, but he's tired. He's tired of like every day, same old. So, and we wishing for things to happen. So you would think somebody like that would be happy, right? A being like that would be happy, but he's not happy. The Nook is not happy at all. He's down. He wants something new, fresh, So he's thinking. He finally has an idea, like, oh, I want to go, and he thinks of the earth people. So he's like, you know what? I want to go and visit the earth people and learn about humans and just see what's going on with them. That should be interesting and keep everything, fresh. So he thinks about it for a while. Then he finally decides, yeah, I'm going to go do it. So he have him a little scarce lunch, little tiny lunch before he goes on this journey to visit the earth people. So he finally finishes eating his lunch, and then boom, he thinks about it because he's a Nook. He can wish his way anywhere. I wish I can do that. So he can just think it, and he's there. So he thinks, and then all of a sudden he's in this big city. And as soon as he gets to the big city, it's loud and it's just too busy. And where he's from is not that loud. It's peaceful, and it's more laid back, So he's just like, within 3 minutes, he zaps himself back, and he's like, oh no, forget that. It's not peaceful to him. So he goes back home. So this, for a while, this had kept him a little like thinking about it, like, did I really give it a try? I'm guessing that's how he's feeling like. But anyway, he's thinking about it like he didn't really spend any time there, and he wished that he would have, seen more or whatever. And so he finally comes up with you know what? People are asleep during the night. people are asleep during the night. So he's like, oh, they're sleeping. When the humans are asleep, I'll just go visit the town when they're sleeping. So nothing to be, everything will be a little more laid back. This is back in the days, of course. So when stores was closing at 9-10 p.m. and everybody was in. And so, yeah, of course, it wasn't 24-hour chaotic things going on. So he didn't have to worry much. But anyway, so boom, we're back in those days. So the Nook, he zapped himself. He thought himself into this city. So he's in this city. And he's like, ooh, it's way more peaceful. It's no buggies going by. It's no people loud, laughing, talking. And it's just more peaceful to him. The streets are basically everybody's, they're in, and the shops are closed. So he's walking around, he's exploring the city, and he's enjoying himself. He's like, oh, this is cool. And where he's from, the Enchanted, he gets to the business portion, right? So he gets to the business portion. And where he's from, Immortals, they don't have to worry about bartering, buying things, stores. They don't have to worry about things like that, right? Of course, they can wish things into existence or make things happen, So just interested in different things. So he sees, so he's amazed. So he's happy to see these things in the stores and all in the, he's like, oh man, because he didn't went in the houses now. I didn't tell y'all. So he's going through the city. He didn't went in people houses because he's exploring people rooms and so in the houses and exploring human life. So now he gets to the business section of the city. So he's in the business portion and he's amazed at all of these stores because, like I said, Immortals don't need to worry about stores. They don't need to worry about bartering or trading for things. They don't have to worry about that because they can wish what they want. They can make things happen. Of course, they have powers and knowledge and different things, So he's like, whoa, look at these stores and look at all these things in the windows. So he's basically window shopping on these streets. So he see a particular millinery shop. He goes in the millinery shop because he's like, I want to see what it's like on the inside. So when he goes in the shop, he's looking around and he sees in a glass case, he sees some hats and there's some beautiful hats. And he sees the hats and then he notices on the hats that there's like 2 or 3 birds on each hat. And he's like, now there's stuffed birds that are on the hats, but he notices that there are birds on these hats. So he's like a little upset because Nooks are said to be able to command or be over animals. So in this particular story, so Nooks they are the keepers of birds. They are the guardians of birds. They love birds. Nooks love birds, so they're the guardians of birds. So he's upset to see so many of his friends of the birds in this glass case on these hats. So he's mad. He sees them in the glass case on these hats. So he's like, what? So he opens the glass case. He slides the glass back and he opens the case and he makes a whistle. A whistle only the birds could, only a whistle the birds would react to. Only the birds would actually take command to. So even though these birds are stuff, he doesn't know they're stuff. But birds have to command no matter what. So they have to command the Nook. So the birds, they fly out of the case, and they're flying around. And he's like, oh, you poor things. You poor things. You want to get out and go and stay in the forest and be in the trees and stuff. So he opens the window and he's like, fly away, birds, fly. Get out of here. Be free, So they fly and then the birds are like, thank you, Nook. They tell them thank you for freeing them and they're so happy. So they fly away. So the Nook, he's happy, he's like, okay. And now he wanders the city a little more and he realizes, okay, dawn is breaking, time is already passing, so he didn't have enough time. He didn't get to explore the entire city. So he figures he's going to come back tomorrow at an earlier time. So he figures he's going to come back tomorrow at an earlier time and explore the city, right? So He leaves before everybody gets up. The day goes on. He's back at home while the day goes on. So the next day, he zaps back. Boom. He's back in the city. and he's there a little earlier. So when he's passing by this millinery shop that he set these birds free from, he goes in because he noticed a lady in the window. He noticed someone, he noticed the lady in there crying. So he goes in there. And now nooks are invisible. They're invisible to mortals. So he's next to these humans, and he's listening to them, and one of the sisters is crying. So she's the milliner. She's crying. She's like, and she's crying. So her sister's trying to console her, and she's like, oh, don't cry, don't cry. At least you still have your ribbons, your pretty ribbons, and your pretty bows, because there was ribbons and bows on these hats along with the birds. So she's like, at least you still have your pretty ribbons and bows on your hats, So the sister is crying. She's like, no, it's not fair. It's not fair because it's not right. No one wants to buy hats with no birds on them. Without the birds, my hats are ruined, because she just felt like she really needed the birds. And she's like, without my birds, nobody's going to buy them. They're ruined. And she went back to crying. So the nook feels bad. So her and her sister, they turn out the lights and they leave the shop for the night. So the nook, he's sad. He's like, man, he didn't know. He's sad because he didn't know of these human ways. So he's like, he intervened and he made a human sad, trying to free birds like he felt it should happen. So he felt like he needed to fix this, and because he was sad. So he went on a search to replace these birds. And not too far away in the cellar, he finds rats. He finds these mice, these little gray mice. And he's like, hey, this is perfect. These mice, they got nice fur, and of course you'll love them. They got nice fur, and all they do is eat through the walls and go to other people's homes and eat their food. Like, this would be a good deed, to put them on the hat. So, and basically killing two birds with one stone. They won't be eating through houses, and they'll be pretty on the hats. So he makes a special stone or something so he can command these mice to follow this, so he can command these mice. So he makes the stone, and he commands the mice to go to the millinery shop and get on these hats. So the mice, they do it, and they go to the millinery shop, climb up in the case, and all of them get on the exact spots on the hats where the birds were. So they get on the hats. So the nook, he renders them motionless, so they can't move, so they can't get off the hats, So he's like happy with what he did, so he wants to stay there so he can see the milliner's face when they get there. Like, boy, she's gonna be so happy when she see this. So he's staying there, he's waiting. He's like, yeah, wait till she come in. So the milliner comes in the next day with her sister, and she comes in. She has a sad face on, and she gets to dusting and cleaning the shop a bit. Then finally she gets to the glass case, and she slides it back, and she went to reach for one of the hats. When she grabs one of the hats, a mice, was looking at her. So when she sees the mice, she's like, ah! She screams, ah! Like she's like, oh, heck no, it's a rat. It's a rat. So she like, no, So she screams. So she runs and jumps on top of something. So her sister knowing that the scream was a ghastly scream, like, what's wrong? And she jumped on something as well, and her sister's yelling like, it's a rat, it's the rat, it's the mice, it's mice. And her sister is like, what? Screaming. So the nook, he sees this, and he's like, oh, snap. Humans do not like mice. Oh, when he seen that humans were disgusted with mice, he's like, oh man, I made a mistake. I made another mistake. So he makes a whistling sound that only the mice can hear, so the mice can leave. So he makes that whistling sound. The mice, they come out of the glass case and they scurry across the street back down to the cellar. And the women, they are so scared of this and so just like, oh my God, beyond themselves because of this, that they faint. So the nook, he's so weak-hearted, and because he just have a good heart, and he he feels so bad, he just screwing stuff up that he just leaves. He zaps himself back home and leaves the women to recover as best that they can by themselves. So he just leaves them like, I don't know what to do. I'm just making stuff worse. So he's back home, but he can't think. He can't really sleep. He's trying to meditate on what to do. So he doesn't know what to do. So he's trying to think, what should I do? So he thinks, you know what, the only way to make it right is I'm going to have to go get those birds back for them. And that's the only way that I can make it right, because she obviously sees them as she owns those birds. So the next day, the Nook gets up and he starts on this journey to look for the birds, which didn't take him long, because the birds, they did fly a long distance, but it doesn't matter because the Nook can wish himself anywhere. Yes, you guys know the answer. He can wish himself anywhere and zap himself anywhere. So the Nook is like, all right. So he finds these birds in a long distance, a long ways away in a chestnut tree. And they're like singing. Yeah. They see the Nook coming. They're like, hey, oh, I hear, like, thank you, Nook. So they're thanking him. So he's coming and he's like, don't thank me. And they looking like, oh, snap. Like, what do you mean don't thank you? What's up, Nick? What do you mean don't thank you? So he's like, don't thank me. He's like, I'm here to take you guys back. And they're like, so a blue jay is like, why? Like, we were prisoners there, And so the Nook is like, look, the milliner is really sad, and because you're not there, I messed up, and you guys have to be there. So he was like, it's messing up her fashion, so she needs you guys on her hats. So Red Robin. So now this is a Red Robin. Like, who are we to like, you're a Nook, so we're free. We're made to be free. Like, why do we have to be slaves to be on a hat? Like, it was the men that shot us and sold us to her. We're not her property. That's absurd for anybody be saying that we're their property. That's the red bird. It's like, what? So he's like, look, she needs you guys for her fashion on her hats. Without you, even though she has pretty bows and ribbons on there, her work is not complete. So she needs you. So then the blackbird is like, look, get out of here with that. Like, so we're supposed to be slaves to fashion? That we have nothing to do with that. We don't have to be slaves to fashion. Why should we have to be slaves to fashion? How would you feel if they wanted you on their hat as a Nook, and it was a fashion to wear a Nook on their head? So how would you feel if it was fashion to wear you? So the Nook is like puzzled. Now, mind you, the Nook already, after he told the Red Robin, look, she needs you. She needs you guys. She consider you her property. The Red Robin is like no, screw that. So the Red Robin, he already told the Nook, that he wasn't they weren't the property. The Nook felt like the Red Robin and the Blue Jay, the birds. The Nook felt like the birds were getting the best of the argument. So that's why he was like, hey, whoa, wait, look, you got to go back because she needs you for her hats, okay? Even though she got bows and pretty ribbons, she needs you for her hats. So she has to have you guys back. You got to go back. So then that's when the blackbird is like, look, nobody, like, who says we got to go back? Like, who said we got to be slaves to fashion? That's not our thing. Like, how would you feel as a Nook if it was fashion for a Nook to be worn on a hat? How would you feel, huh? And so the Nook is like, and he's like really asking, Nook, how would you feel if you had to be on a hat, man? How would you feel? So the Nook is like thinking, and he's like, man, he's feeling bad. He's like, I can't send the birds back because I love the birds. Even though he told the birds, now, if they put you, if I leave you guys out here, you'll be just shot up again by some hunters again. So that's when the birds was like, the red bird was like, we've already been shot and stuff. We can't be shot anymore. They've already tried shooting at us. Since we've flown over here. And all it did was ruffle our feathers and nothing happened because we can't be killed now. We're no longer scared of the hunters. We're no longer scared. So we're in the trees singing, leave us alone. Like, we're free, man. So, and then the blackbird told him what he needed to tell him. So, so the Nook, he feels bad. So he's like, I can't send them back. He feels, they're meant to be free. He's thinking about the milliner, like, she's crying. I don't know what to do. So he goes back home. He's sad again, and he starts meditating. So he meditates, and then he decides, I have to tell he wants to go and consult his majesty. So he goes to his king, and the king of the Nooks, and he goes to the king of the Nooks, and he's like, he tells him everything that happened. And the king of the Nooks is like, oh, come on, man. Oh, seriously? See, that's what you get for involving yourself in human matters, in earthly matters, So the king of the Nooks is like, that's what you get. But you know what? Since you messed it up, you're going to have to fix it. So you got to do something to fix it. And he was like, you're going to have to do something to where you can free all of the birds and our friends, the birds. You can free our friends, the birds, as well as do something to where you change the fashion in the human realm. So the Nook is like, how do I do that? Asking the king, how do I do that? He said, easy. The humans have magazines, newspapers, the press, all of this that they read and listen to. You're going to have to go and influence all of that and change all of that. What they read in the paper as fashion, they follow. So if they read that birds are no longer in style, they'll stop wearing the birds. Plain and simple. So the Nook was like, great idea. Thank you. So he's happy. So he goes on and he starts visiting every printing press there is. So he visited all these printing presses, and he's changing the print he's getting in some of the publishers' ears and telling them, because Nooks, of course, they had a lot of these fairies and a lot of these, how you say, a lot of these out of world creatures, or other, not creatures, these other beings, a lot of these other beings like fairies, rails, and Nooks, things like that. Okay, so they can influence you, right? So they can influence humans. So even though you can't see them, they can influence humans. So by getting with thoughts that they have, or things that they want to do. So the Nook, he influenced the publishers. He influenced them to change what he wants. Some publishers, he influenced the papers to where that if the reader read it, he put some type of stuff on the paper to where when the reader read it, they were seeing what he wanted them to see. So it was not a press in town that he didn't visit. So in the paper, until it finally said what he wanted it to say about the fashion. So the next day, the milliner, she gets the paper and she reads the paper, and she's overjoyed to find out and read that wearing birds are no longer acceptable, and ribbons and bows are actually the new fashion, and it's the new beauty and the new craze. So she's happy, she's excited, like, yay, no, I don't gotta have these birds. And the Nook, he was so happy and excited that he went to every millinery shop and made sure he freed all of the birds from every millinery shop. And to this day, when you see a flying bird, and if a hunter shoots at it and the bird doesn't come down, and they're wondering, why didn't I shoot that bird, or how did I miss? More than likely, they didn't miss. It's one of those birds from the millinery shop that the Nook said, now that bird is from this story. He's alive. So, yeah, so the Nook set the birds free. The lady is happy. Everything is all good. Everybody's fine, I really enjoyed that story. I like that story. The story was, to me, basically this story meant be careful what you involve yourself in, and be careful what you get yourself into. When you don't know nothing, when you don't even know nothing about it at all, Then Nook, he didn't know anything about the human race. He didn't even observe long enough anyway to even try what he had tried. But and he was sweethearted, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you have good intent. You can actually be starting a chain of events that not only will affect you, but affects so many others. So just stay in your lane, basically. So that's kind of the moral of the story I get from this. Like, stay in your lane and make sure that you Don't go chasing waterfalls and stick to the rivers and the lakes that you used to. All right, you guys. That is it. That is the story for today. Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section down below. What did you get out of this story? What stood out for you in this story? What would you have done if you were the Nook or the Milliner? Let's talk about it in the comment section down below. Let's talk about it. Keep it real, you guys. And keep it real respectful. Don't forget that. And don't forget to hit subscribe. Don't forget to hit subscribe, you guys, and hit that like button. And make sure you hit that bell so you know when I'm coming on next time. All right, you guys. Have a wonderful day, a wonderful week. And I really appreciate you guys. And I will see you guys next time. And remember, love, peace, and vibes. I'm out.